Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly. Mm-hmm. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
I'm anticipating an interesting conversation today.
I'm just tired. Mm-hmm. You went out last night.
We both did.
To a place called...
What was the venue? The night was called Otter Pop.
At a place called the Silver Lake Lounge in Silver Lake, which is sort of like a neighborhood bar.
The Dive, yeah.
That has like themed nights, and this one is like, I guess, for gays. I don't know that this is...
Yeah,
it's not usually a gay bar.
But the night is called like a queer dance party.
All I have to say is it was a little too crowded.
Yeah.
A little too hot. It was very warm in there. Everyone was looking greasy as hell. The monkeypox floating around, COVID floating around, overpriced drinks.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was not for me.
At the door they were giving away tickets for...
What was the drink I had? What was it called?
It was kumquat flavored.
No, but what was the name of the brand?
Heartbreakers or something?
No.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was.
It was called Heartbreakers?
Yeah.
Let me keep talking. Let me find
Anyway, they fooled us because they had free drink tickets, for a first drink, and we're like, oh, we'll get that, and then like, oh, this is fine, I'll get another one. Those things were $12 a piece for a hard seltzer.
Oh yes, it's called. I was trying to look up how much these cost because a 4-pack can't be more than like.
It wasn't.
Yeah, it's like $20 for a 4-pack.
Like ambrosia, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely buy these. It's called Live Wire Heartbreaker, and it's a blend of vodka, grapefruit, kumquat, ginger. It was delicious. So I'm gonna make my way to Venmo this afternoon and buy more. But yeah, I don't like these bars that I don't know if. Just to try to drum up business, they're like, let's have a gay night and we'll just offer free entry, fuck the fire codes, and then like...
Well, I think they said that was their 1-year anniversary of having that night. I think it's once a month.
I don't know who owns it and what they do, so I'm not trying to be that difficult, but I just don't like their restroom situation is bad. It was super hot, like poor ventilation, super crowded. And then because I left and then you stayed. When I left, there was a long line around the block. It's too much.
Well, it's like hot dog at El Cid. It's like these.
It's not that crowded though there.
No, but these nights, these bars that aren't, or restaurants that aren't gay establishments, but because they have this popular. The night or an event that's popular, all the gays go, and so, well, what about supporting your other gay bars that...
I'm glad that there are spaces and,
I agree.
Embracing different crowds and having different nights. There are a lot of bars, especially in Silver Lake and Echo Park, that have very diverse, their calendars, hip-hop, comedy, mashups, live rock music, gay nights, trap music or whatever, booty shaking music. I appreciate that. It's just, I don't know. I'm too old to be uncomfortable. I'm not trying to look at a bunch of greasy, sweaty-ass people breathing on me. I can't use the bathroom in a timely fashion. Again, monkeypox is floating around. So I was not comfortable and left. Anyway, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Star 7, the winter season, we have a winner.
Yeah.
Drum roll, please. Who won?
Jinx Monsoon.
Jinx Monsoon.
Very anticlimactic.
It was because she clearly was dominating. She won 5 challenges out of the 12 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, 11 really. So she won almost half of the challenges. And then obviously won in the end. But... as we know, no one ever went home. They split the 8 queens into the top 4 who had a chance to win Queen of All Queens.
And then the B-side.
And then the B-side bitches were the bottom 4 who were one of them would be crowned the queen of, she'd already had hers.
And get $50K.
And that person would get $50K, and then the Queen of All Queens would get $200K. So Jinx won. She... ultimately went up against Monet Exchange, and they did a lip sync to what was the song they did?
Swish Swish Bish.
That's right, by Katy Perry, which I thought Monet did a better job.
I did too. It was kind of surprised that, but it's not based on, as you said, RuPaul always says it's your last chance to impress me.
So it's just one more thing to add to the total package. So I think even though Monet did a better lip sync, overall Jinx deserved to win. And then Raja won for the B-side group. She lip sync against Evie Oddly to, what song did they do?
They did that Aretha Eurythmics Sisters.
Oh, Sisters Are Doing It For Themselves. I thought they both did fine. I think Raja deserves it more because she's the oldest queen, as in like she won her crown the longest time ago.
Sure, but she also ran circles around a lot of them too.
And then I think she should have won more challenges than she actually did. And I think her sense of fashion is inspiring.
Well, it's also nice to see, as people age, like that kind of kindness and empathy that wasn't previously apparent.
Yeah, when she was on season 3, she seemed kind of like a bitch, and then now she's very like zen and chill and wise. I really like this evolved version of her, so I'm glad she got her little 50K. But that's it. There's so much more Drag Race coming. I don't know that I'm honestly a little tired of talking about Drag Race. I enjoy watching it, but it's just like, unless, I don't even like talking about it with people who watch it a lot. Because it feels like sports. Kinda. Like just running off stats to people who also know the stats, and then people are very passionate about who should win or not. I'm not saying we won't continue to talk about it, but there's so many, like...
Well, yeah, because we're also concurrently watching Canada and France.
France kind of, but we are watching Canada, and then we have Celebrity, which I'm sure we might talk about depending on who's on that. Then Australia's coming, which I'm sure I'll watch just because I'm so traumatized from how bad the first season of Australia was. Anyway, that's that.
But shout out to France, because we watched the Snatch Game episode of that, and I really was impressed by Paloma.
Who did Fanny Ardant.
Very well.
I thought several of them did a good job, and the only person I recognized was Fanny Ardant. The rest of the characters, I didn't know who they were. But I thought for the most part, they were all funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job to them.
And that is taking into consideration some, I think, terribly translated subtitles from WoW Presents.
Yeah, but that's not the first time that's happened. We had that with there was another season we watched where was it
Italy
or Spain? One of them we had this, like, the translation is just
it was garbage.
It was so bad that it's just like I can't watch it. Anyway, you have your best of July list. So number 5 is and this is for like new releases in July.
Oh yes, so July is Crowning. This I think it was kind of a weak month for film, but at 5 I have tied because of the actresses in them, because I didn't love either of these films. But Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris is definitely catch up with that for Isabelle Huppert and Leslie Manville, and She Will, a kind of weird genre tinged film with Alice Krige as a witch.
Number 4.
4, Gone in the Dark, with a new Winona Ryder film. Had an interesting concept. I also like Dermot Mulroney.
Number 3.
Both Sides of the Blade, brand new Claire Denis must see, with Juliette Binoche and Vincent Lindon.
Number 2.
Jordan Peele's Nope. This is a film I feel like they shouldn't. I have some issues with it because I think it cuts down on character development drastically. But then I read after we saw it that there's a 3-hour cut, really, the original cut. So I think he had to pare it down per the studio probably. So I'd really be interested in seeing what he envisioned originally. But it's definitely worth seeing in the theater.
Number 1.
Resurrection, starring Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth, for weirdo, gonzo cinema. Must see, I think.
Okay, moving on. You have a list from Venice 2022. Are these like films you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I documenting my most anticipated, because Venice announced their complete lineup since we last recorded. Opening the festival is White Noise, directed by Noah Baumbach, based on the Don DeLillo novel, which I finished reading this week. I'm very curious to see what Baumbach does, reuniting Adam Driver and Greta Gerwig. The book doesn't, because it was written in '85, and it doesn't read as satirical to me because of the world we live in now. So I'm interested to see certain maybe tweaks and changes. There's also it's being compared to the production of it's being compared to Cimino's Heaven's Gate, as in just this long, elaborate, messy slog of a production. So, yeah. Tar, directed by Todd Field, his first film since Little Children's, A Long Time Waiting with Kate Blanchett. Very excited for that. The Eternal Daughter, a new Joanna Hogg film, which she filmed in secret with Tilda Swinton over the pandemic. The Sitting Duck, this is in the Horizon sidebar with Isabelle Huppert from the director of Mama Weed. Very exciting to me. And then, of course, I am most excited for Master Gardener, starring Sigourney Weaver and Joel Edgerton, which Paul Schrader's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award, so it's not allowed to be in the competition, so it's an out-of-competition slot, which bums me out, because what if Sigourney's really good and she could have won Best Actress, but whatever. Yeah, I'm very excited to be seeing that.
Okay, there were more questions for advice / just questions, I guess, that are being consolidated. So first, do you have advice for a film critic or someone trying to make a film podcast on what makes, what would make someone good at that?
I think just do it, and is my advice, and practice makes perfect. And especially no matter what age you are starting out writing about film, we all start out from a place of extreme ignorance because there's so much out there. I feel like I learn, it's something I'm deeply invested in, and I'm learning something new about somebody new to me every day, really, because of how cinema connects you to everything. And you can go down a rabbit hole, pick one filmmaker and go down a rabbit hole of 6 degrees of separation with everybody that's in their films, and you can get a really nice broad overview really quickly. And I'm a deep dive type of person, but my advice is just start to hone your voice, and you can only do that by the more you write, the more you read, the more you watch, the more you talk about it.
I don't consider myself a film critic, but I would say that I think it would be just start doing it. It doesn't cost anything to start writing. A website is cheap. I know we don't have one yet, but it's coming. But having a website is not expensive. Writing your thoughts down. I mean, there are free platforms, I suppose. I don't want a free platform, but so that's why it's taking longer to have stuff done in that regard. But yeah, just write, and even YouTube videos, just do them. Mm-hmm. We started making them originally I wasn't even thinking that the original ones would be posted, and then I was very self-conscious, just about every aspect of it. But, 2 years later, it's...
And I think this same person asked about, what to do to avoid overthinking it. I don't think you should even think about that. Just do it. Just get it out there. Just write it. And you learn as you go, and don't be afraid to make mistakes or be wrong sometimes, because at the core of it, and I think this person also asked about what I believe makes a subpar film critic. It's not sharing your honest opinion and reaction.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about, is because I think what is a critic? I mean, it's everyone has an asshole, but I think the idea is that if you put your shit out there and people connect with it and they get to know your flavor and they feel like maybe you have something in common, or not, maybe people totally disagree with you, but they like the way you say things and they like your references, and that's for whatever reason. I think you have to be consistent, which means being honest
and having, it's okay to disparage something, but if you're coming from a place of respect for the craft that is cinema, I think that just becomes apparent.
I don't read a lot of reviews because I don't like to read very much, but I do watch some video reviews on YouTube, and the common thing I see is people just seem so fake,
because they are
they're just happy that someone sent them a free movie to review. When you start your review off by saying thank you to Universal for letting me, girl, I'm not. For a movie ticket that would have cost $17, I can go watch that shit on my own. And more than half of the stuff that gets reviewed is available on a streaming platform that you already pay for. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you got to see it a week early, is not enough for me to like look like a clown and pretend that I think that, you know, Morbius is a great movie. Like,
Right.
it's just not, I'm not doing that. So I think that's what makes a bad critic. And I think people see right through that. But, you know, people like with many topics, they want to, you know, they funnel themselves into a bubble where people share their same opinions. And, you know, it is what it is. But for me, it's very obvious when people are just talking shit. Like they just want to keep getting free movies
Or be quoted all over everything. You can tell if you were to read a lot of film criticism.
Free movies don't pay for my Audi, so I'm not gonna sit here and sound crazy talking about a movie I know I didn't like, pretending that it's like the best movie of the year. And people comment on our videos like it's just spam, like they're just going and it's not always negative. It's just like, this is the greatest movie of the year, and it's like, really?
Yeah, no.
This one?
But that's the other thing. That's fine if you think that.
Yeah, you can like what you like, and it's okay. I mean, that's the beauty of listening to other people, is to get a sense of what people like. I don't presume, you know, yeah, I don't.
And, you know, it's also okay. I think I had a hard time starting out too, is it's okay to modify or change. You know, as you grow as a person, and the more information you learn about the world, you change your opinion about some things, or you're like, oh, I loved that at a certain point in my life because it spoke to me at this time. And
cinema's art. Like it's about a mood and an audience,
Yes.
and like, you know, it's not going to be fit for everyone, and everyone's going to see it the same way. But if you're willing to exert the energy to try to place yourself, I don't know, it's like so simple in one regard, and then it's kind of complicated, like how we view other people's opinions and subject ourselves to other people's opinions. Like, I don't want to get my feelings. I always say this. I don't ever look up what people think about Janet Jackson, because I'm just going to get my feelings hurt. I'm just going to get mad because this artist means a lot to me. But I know people think that she can't sing and she's too quiet and she's fat and she has too much plastic surgery and all the things that people say about her. It doesn't matter to me. She still means a lot to me.
That's so funny that you say that, because as a kid, I would pore over every Sigourney Weaver mention in print, and I remember I would start hating like some film critics then, because I remember who's that dummy that works for Rolling Stone, Peter Travers. I remember trashing Copycat, but giving Scream 2 this glowing review, and I'm like, you fucking fool.
But we have to respect just how I sit on video and talk shit about a lot of movies. It's more like, it's my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's my opinion, like Tamara from Real Housewives said. Like, and if people find my opinion valid or amusing, then that's what it's there for. But if you think that I'm a clown, and then don't listen to me. I don't know why you're watching me. I don't know why you keep, like, I do recognize people keep commenting like negatively. It's like, why do you keep watching me to be mad? Like, thanks for the views, I guess, but
it's also okay to enjoy.
Maybe the my veneers are hypnotizing them with the bright light. I don't know why people continue to watch.
I think it's okay to engage with people that have opposing opinions to them.
I agree.
So that doesn't.
I think
bother
it's
me.
fun. It's invigorating.
Well,
I learn things.
You learn things, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fun to listen to people who don't share the same opinion, because then it highlights the fact that, oh, this 23-year-old straight white guy would have a different opinion. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to hear what they think. You know, even watching, we just posted a review for that Kevin Bacon film, They, Them, and there aren't that many online, but I was watching one, and it's actually like two gay guys, one's black, one's white. I don't know that they're a couple, but they were talking about it, and they loved it.
Oh.
And I thought the movie was garbage, mama. But I still was very interested to hear what they had to say. And I was listening to it while I was in the shower. I wasn't standing there seething with the water running over me. I was thinking, oh, this is interesting. Mm-hmm. And oh, I wonder how could I have seen it differently? Like, it's interesting. It's fun. I learn things even when I don't agree. So it's a shame that people get so, become so vile and aggressive. Because it's pointless. That doesn't do shit to me. I'm not afraid of anyone running up on me. Like, it makes no sense. But there are more questions, so we need to hurry up.
Oh.
So someone else asked, like, for someone who considers themselves a cinephile, what are top, like, 3 films that they must see?
Oh God,
Which I know is going to be impossible for you.
This is such a hard question because I also want to. I want to bracket it into different groups of things.
Yeah, and we don't have time for that.
But off the top of my head, right before you said you were going to be posing this question to me, Tarkovsky's Stalker, Zulawski's Possession, and Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
Okay, can I add to this? Because I do have something to say about this. I don't have a top 3, but I want to... Something that really annoys me is when people say, like, oh, Marilyn... Well, is that a good example? I'll just use that. Oh, I love Marilyn Monroe. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, what's your favorite? Oh, have you seen this? And
Niagara. Have you seen Niagara?
And then you realize that person has only seen one Marilyn Monroe movie.
Yeah.
Or they say they love... Someone approached me and said that they had seen on Instagram that, like, our garage has a lot of Sigourney Weaver posters. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh. And they're like, oh, I love her. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's your favorite movie? And then, of course, it was like Alien. And then I was talking, and then it was clear they hadn't seen other. It's like, you can't say you love someone and you're not familiar with their work. Mm-hmm. So if I had to say, like, films you must see as a cinephile, I think that it's more general. Like, if you say you're a cinephile, is it, like, in general, like, you are just a lover of film, or are you super into horror? Because if you're super into horror, then you need to watch a lot of horror film. Mm-hmm. It's like any specialty, right? If you're a cardiologist and you do a residency and you spend the majority of your time working on the cardiovascular system, like, so I just don't understand how people make these statements and then they're not experts in the thing they say they love. Mm-hmm. Like, they love. That's a big word.
That's why I'm like, I can't. Yeah, there are different.
And that's what file means, right? Like, yeah. Love. Mm-hmm. So you can't name any of these people's movies or a particular director. So that's what I would say. If you say you love something, a director or a genre, or an actor, then you need to have watched all of their films. Mm-hmm. And then another question was, what's a favorite line of yours that was used in, like, a review? Because you've had quotes used on actual, like, DVD cases. You've mm-hmm. had quotes used in trailers.
Yeah.
So what's your, like, immediate thought?
I don't have memorized what was pulled ever for anything that I've been quoted on, but I remember the first one was Ava DuVernay's Middle of Nowhere in 2012. I was quoted in that trailer, and I remember being very proud and excited about that. And then I remember being very happy when...
That's how you met her.
I interviewed her at the film fest at Sundance.
Before the quote?
Before the quote, yeah.
Oh.
That was a really exciting interview, but I was so nervous because I'd only done, like, 2 interviews before that, and then they didn't say that the cast would be there. So David Oyelowo and Emiyazi Cornialdi and Amari Hardwick were all just sitting there waiting for me. Like, oh my God.
I would have walked in like, hey, y'all.
I was like, oh, and then the batteries died on the
Let's
thing.
get this done, like cake farts.
But
anyway.
when that was actually ended up being a very good interview. Anyway, and then I remember buying the 2011 film My Worst Nightmare, starring Isabelle Huppert, and it showed up in the mail, and there I was quoted on the cover.
But you don't recall what the quote was?
No, and yeah, and that was back in 2011, and it just said Ion Cinema. And then I think I'm probably most excited because my actual name appears alongside a quote in the trailer for Mama Weed.
Another Isabelle
Huppert film. But I will say that that movie, I remember the pandemic was full force, and I begged the French distributor to let me have a link, and they gave it to me. That's how you and I saw it. So we saw it way ahead of a lot of English-speaking regions. And I remember being so excited about being in that trailer, and a very notable film critic said, like, oh, well, to be fair, you saw that before anybody else, so that's why. But whatever, there I am. It's fine.
People stay mad. It's okay. It's not good for your skin. But anyway, yeah, I think most people are sending questions via Instagram. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that works. I'm trying my best to sift through messages. But I think I do a pretty good job. There's nothing in the Sorry to This Man section, but I know I made a few mistakes in some reviews, but I'll wait to see who corrects me. Moving on, films released we didn't cover. DC League of Super Pets.
Yeah.
That's not even on my radar.
I know. Go ahead.
Allie and Ava.
Yeah, Cleo Barnard. I liked her first film, but has since kind of disappointed me. But she had a new film. This was a Cannes 2021 in the Director's Fortnight that I saw. It's basically a remake of Fassbinder's Ali, Fear Eats the Soul. And that film itself is a remake of All That Heaven Allows. Okay, really good soundtrack though.
Is that it?
That I'm saying about that?
Okay, next is Medusa.
This, I think, was also Cannes 2021 in Director's Fortnight. A Brazilian film, by Anita Roca de Silveira. I think it's got a lot of interesting things about it. It's about a group of these young Christian women that put on masks at night and go around in a gang and beat any woman that's acting unruly into submission. Which sounds a lot better, I think, than the film actually plays, but it does have some interesting things in it.
Next, A Love Song.
I like Dale Dickey. I like Wes Studi, and it's nice to see them both in lead roles in this intimate little drama that played out of Sundance this year, directed by Max Walker Silverman. But I didn't like it, and I had no interest in rewatching it.
Next, Not Okay.
This young lady named Quinn Shepard has directed a film starring Zoe Deutsch that opened this week called Not Okay. I passed on it, but it sounds interesting. It's about a young woman that pretends to be the victim of something or other, and it blows up in her face.
Oh, something I would have wanted to, or I want to watch is The Reef Stalked.
Directed by Andrew Trauke. And I don't know that screeners were made available to this. However, I was interested to learn that it's a sequel to his 2010 film, The Reef. So why 13 years later?
We needed it.
I guess so.
I always have time for a shark movie.
I know you do.
Next, Sharp Stick.
Yeah, this was also out of Sundance 2022 this year. New Lena Dunham film. And I had this on, and you were even annoyed at the clips that you saw back in January.
What was it? What did I watch?
I don't know. You were just like, "Oh, this sounds terrible," and it was, and I had no interest in rewatching it. So
See, my instincts are usually spot on. I can just walk in and know I'm in.
I find it funny.
Exposed to some bullshit.
She's got a new movie coming out that premieres at TIFF based on I remember my mother having this book, Catherine Called Birdie, and she directed that next. But this feels like a film because she hasn't done anything for a while. That felt like I got to make a movie and I have access to these people, and here's a semi-charming indie film. Ooh.
Lastly, We Met in Virtual Reality.
This came out on HBO Max, I believe. I think it was Sundance this year as well. It was shot completely in virtual reality, and that's all I know about it. But
okay, movies we watched for fun. You watched something called I'm Dangerous tonight?
Yes, Tobe Hooper. Kino Lorber put out on Blu-ray. I had not been aware of this. It turns out it's the television film based on a Cornell Woolrich film. And it's very low-key, light on the genre elements, considering it's Tobe Hooper of Poltergeist and Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame. But it stars Mädchen Amick. She'd only really had Twin Peaks under her belt at this point. R. Lee Ermey of course, Full Metal Jacket. Dee Wallace is got a great little role in it, and so does Anthony Perkins. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, you put down College Hill.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it. So BT Plus brought back College Hill, but the celebrity edition. So this time we have Big Frida, Nene Leakes, Lamar Odom, Slim Thug, who now goes by Big Slim. Oh, Ray J's in it. And then two people I don't know much about, Dream Doll, and I don't even know the other one, Asia Love.
Oh, yeah.
But the premise is that these celebrities are going to school, to an HBCU in Texas for eight weeks to do like a certificate program, like in interdisciplinary studies, which I think is funny because they keep talking about like, we're going to go to college, we're going to get our degree. And it's like, no, this is a certificate for an 8-week program.
Oh, and Stacey Dash.
Oh shit. And Stacey Dash.
Who dropped out because
Child, Stacey Dash didn't even make it 2 episodes because the moment... Okay, so they're in this big mansion that's not very... I mean, it's not like a... It's as fancy as that area could provide. Mm-hmm. But everyone walks in and Stacey Dash is the last person to show up at the house. And they all recognize her as that like black lady Republican.
As a problem.
As a problem. And she is super standoffish.
Yeah.
And doesn't want to talk to anyone. And I think she's there like... She spends like 2 nights when the group decides that the only way to get her to fraternize with them is they need to switch up the room situation.
So she has to share a room.
Because Stacey was... Because originally everyone was assigned a room, and somehow Stacey got her own room, and others had to share.
And that was Nene Leakes doing
and
that.
Nene being messy as what, you know, she's good at that. She's like, let's take a house vote. And everyone except one other person votes to switch up rooms. And Stacey gets mad. And then that night, won't come, or that morning won't come out of her room, calls 911. The paramedics come, get her. They wrap her up like a burrito so we can't see her face. And then she never comes back. And we're never told why. That we're just told that she's not coming back. You know, I think...
Crazy.
I'm sure it seems silly to people watching it casually, but I was actually quite moved by a lot of it because I think it speaks to... It's not just... you know, a lot of celebrities don't have formal educations, right? So, and especially the celebrities and, you know, who occupy the demographics we see in this lot. But I think it also represents a lot of people who just do the best they can straight out of high school, if they even graduate high school, because they're not the most scholastic. College is not for everyone. Not everyone knows how to do it or how to get in, or... You know, a lot of people don't have the support or the knowledge to just say, like, yeah, obviously my next step is this, and I'm going to do this to be this. So I think listening to all of them, even Ray J, who's so obnoxious in life, in everything, even he all talk about how important it is to show that they value education, and they hope that it inspires either their children, their fan base. So I think in that regard, and then watching these celebrities be so uncomfortable, I think sends a good message that it doesn't matter if you're famous or rich or you're used to being on a stage with 10,000 people watching you. It's intimidating getting in front of a classroom and giving a presentation about something that is not your expertise or you're not super interested in. So I found it actually, I mean, there were many moments when I kind of got a little emotional. There were some pretty powerful scenes because they have to take ethnic studies. And at one point, the professor reconstructs like the living quarters of Harriet Tubman.
No, not Harriet Tubman.
It wasn't Harriet Tubman?
It wasn't Harriet Tubman. It was another woman that had been a slave and then...
Oh, my apologies. But then she makes them sort of occupy that space. That was pretty moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's a silly show, but I think it has heart, and Big Frida is...
When's somebody going to write a movie where Big Frida and Nene are brother and sister?
Because they have such good chemistry. And then Nene, you know, when she's not being combative on Real Housewives, like on this show, she's actually quite sweet, and she talks about her dead husband, and she's being vulnerable, and she seems to really get along with Big Frida, so those two talking... You've never seen Nene just be normal and regular.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
So it's kind of weird, but like refreshing.
But it was hard watching fucking Ray J.
I can't even think about Ray J. He's so obnoxious and like he's so full of shit. It's like
just
it's a disease.
Go away.
It's a disease.
Who wants to see you in any regard? Who?
Well, and then it's so clear that he's calculating like all these scenarios to stay relevant, and like he and his wife. I don't even care to look it up, but I know that they have claimed they're getting a divorce more than once. They may have actually gotten divorced and got remarried. Like, it's just this thing, like this carrot dangling in front of the audience. Girl, we don't care about your little raggedy marriage to Princess Love, whatever her name is.
Brandy, come get your brother.
And Brandy, I know she's embarrassed. Especially after he got that ugly-ass tattoo of her on his body.
How weird.
Moving on, we finished that Vanjie 24 Hours of Love, the dating show on Wild Plus Presents.
And next on the list of trash, yeah.
Can we talk about this? Because every fucking episode I was so frustrated. So it's a group of like 18 gay guys. They all show up at this rental house like in Hollywood somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's clearly not Vanjie's house. And for people who don't know, Vanjie is a drag queen who became pretty famous. I think she started on season 9 and or 10 and she was eliminated first. Mm-hmm. And then she became popular because of her exit line, which was like Vanjie, like saying Vanjie really slowly. And then she came back the next season and was able to get pretty far. Mm-hmm. And now she's like, well, I don't think she is currently, but she was on the Vegas review show with RuPaul's Drag Race. Anyway,
a fan favorite.
So 18 like attractive gay guys show up to this house and they make it seem like they were told they're going to be on a dating show. Mm-hmm. So they're all mingling when all of a sudden Vanjie, as her drag queen persona, comes up on the TV screen and starts shouting as she's known to do. And then all of a sudden Jose, which is Vanjie's real name out of drag, walks down the staircase looking like a bloated prince with like Josephine Baker hair.
And a Tyler Perry's Medea personality.
Well, and all those veneers. And I'm so disappointed that the production, and I know they probably didn't do this because Vanjie wouldn't have, doesn't want to be seen in a negative light, I'm sure. But it's so fake, this idea that like, I'm told I'm going to go on a dating show, and then I don't know who the person is. And then when he walks down the stairs, you can't tell me all 18 of those guys found him appealing. I don't know that 2 of those guys found him appealing. So the fact that they all have to fake being attracted to him and then spend 7 episodes saying that they want to win over his love is just asinine.
Yes, and then having these grown-ass men talking in their confessionals about, I'm scared I'm going to be eliminated. It's like,
and keeping in mind, the show is set over 24 hours.
Oh,
and some of that includes them going to sleep.
Y'all look so foolish.
They look so stupid, but what's kind of magical about the show is I think it is like unflinchingly exploiting the reality TV like realm. Like this is clearly an example of people in Hollywood wanting to be famous who are getting on a reality show because they want some shine. They don't care. Like they're just selling their souls. For what? Yeah. All that they probably got was maybe a little money for promotional stuff.
Craft services.
It couldn't have been more than a few $1,000s that they each got, if even that, to make an appearance, to do whatever. And a boost in their like social media following.
A lifetime of Instagram followers.
That's it. And now you're on this television show looking so crazy. And I know there are hundreds of videos of me on YouTube acting stupid, but that's at my own accord. Like, those are videos I edited of myself, so there's no one to blame but me. But these people, it's just like watching these grown-ass men talk about someone they're not attracted to.
Take a lie detector.
And then, like, some of them have to, and then being confronted with Vanjie's mom being of being awful towards them.
Who's also not like a bright creature.
Anyway, moving on. You watched something called I Love You, Now Die.
Oh, yeah, the Commonwealth versus Michelle Carter. The girl from Plainsville, the young woman who everybody blames for bullying that boyfriend of hers into killing himself.
Oh, you watched both episodes?
Yeah. It's only.
So what did you think? I need to get a cold beverage.
A cold pop.
Well, it's not a pop.
Okay. Well,
oh, this thing is open. Look at this. Letting all my cold air out of the refrigerator. Electricity's not free.
I didn't come here to be chastised, but anyway, it's curious. It does a good job of laying out a lot of facts that obviously weren't reported or focused on in the media, and basically that these 2 children never met, and this
they never met.
No, they didn't. This was all online, and
she convinced that poor boy to kill himself, having never met him.
He had suicidal tendencies before they started talking. He had tried to commit suicide, I believe. And the more this revealed about her, she seems like this really lonely girl that probably didn't have much affection or attention at home, that wanted to be friends with these girls, and then just learned that by telling extravagant lies about herself, she would get attention.
That sounds like a lot of people.
It does, and so there's a lot of weird psychology going on that in this scenario that I found fascinating. But what gets her hemmed up is, this boy, after months and months of coaxing, finally does this thing, right? And he had gotten out. The story is that he had gotten out of the car and he called her and she told him to get back in. Like he had wanted to stop. And that's
he was going to commit suicide by carbon monoxide
Yes.
poisoning, and then he got scared.
Yes.
Called her,
got out of the car.
and she convinced him to get back in the
She
shit.
told him to get back in the car. But that's the story. But then if we, kind of go into the weeds here, she told, because they have all these text messages, which, it's fascinating, and phone records. But she didn't text him to get back in the car. That supposedly happened in a phone call. But the only reason we know about that is because she texted another friend, like one of these girls that she's trying to show off to, that she did this, that she told him to get back in the car. So there's actually no evidence that she really did tell him to get back in the car, which is important because that is what the charge was, wanton and reckless endangerment or whatever that she got the 2.5 years for and lost the appeal to. But I think what's there's some guy that wrote a Vanity Fair article, and I thought he was the most sensible one talking about all this. And, how about this case highlighted what people hate about teenage girls. And I think he's the same person that talked about... No, somebody else mentioned, when you're talking through text or email, you're kind of... There's a dehumanization that goes on in the process. And I think this lonely girl, was in her own little bubble. And I think that when you live in this fantasy world like that, you poke and prod, and then, it's like you're a character in your own movie, and then a car crash happens. And I think I'm not articulating it well, but I feel like I can see where this dumb girl was coming from in her actions, which were reprehensible, but also feeling like, oh, I'm not really to blame what this kid did. It's just shocking.
Okay, moving on. My Donkey, My Lover, and I.
I have to review this. I think it came out 2 weeks ago. Laura Kalami? God, how do you say that girl? She's from Call My Agent. Laura Kalami is the star, and directed by Carolyn Vignal. And it's about a school teacher who has she's got a married lover, and she thinks she's going on summer vacation with him, but he's like, oops, my wife booked this hiking tour, so I have to go on that instead. And she follows, and she thinks that you have to book a donkey, because this hiking tour is this very expensive thing based upon a Robert Louis Stevenson novel called Travels with a Donkey in the Cézanne, where he went on this donkey trek, and so she's there following her lover, and they meet up, and I thought I would like it better, but I didn't really love it. Lastly,
we watched Thelma and Louise. So the Row in the Arts District downtown LA, they have rooftop cinema club. Mm-hmm. So we went with a friend to see Thelma and Louise. Mm-hmm. I had never watched Thelma and Louise. I
haven't seen it since I was probably a tween, but yeah.
The only thing I knew about it was it starred Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon, and of course the final shot of the film is their car flying off of a cliff. Mm-hmm. So I knew that was a thing. If you would have asked me why I thought their car flew off a cliff, I would have assumed that was the end of the movie and they were being chased, mm-hmm. probably by law enforcement, which is partially true. It's really like a suicide pact at that point.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie, mainly because I think Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis's performances are really good.
Yeah, I agree.
And it was emotional at points.
I also like Christopher McDonald as Gina Davis's husband.
Yeah, the respective men in their lives do a good job. Brad Pitt, his role, that could have been anyone to me. I think it's interesting. He looks like a straight up tweaker in this movie. So the fact that people were so goo goo gaga.
Oh, they were,
him,
yeah. It was that, and then a river runs through it. And
yeah, he looked like a crackhead, but whatever.
And Michael Madsen as Susan Sarandon's love interest.
Yeah, I thought, yeah. The law enforcement
Garbage.
Like the acting, the writing.
Poor Harvey Keitel.
Oh my God. It's like, compared to the performances of Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon, that those characters, like, it's just embarrassing.
The construction of how and why they're being chased is terribly written. Which I wouldn't have realized as a kid, but it's like, what? Wait, at the point where what's his nuts is like, maybe we should call the FBI to find out who killed this redneck in a parking lot that has a history of.
Well, it's funny because we just reviewed a movie called Paradise Highway, and the entire plot revolves around the fact that in sort of a similar area in the South, they don't have the resources.
Yes.
To find a sex trafficker who's been murdered and an abducted girl who's probably been taken by the murderer. No resources. And then we watch Thelma and Louise, and it's like, oh, the cops are looking for them initially so vigorously because they might know something about the murder.
Yeah,
when in the history of law enforcement have we put so much energy into like trying to find like a potential witness?
And they are all they have all of these people, like a team of people,
just sitting around
waiting for Gina Davis to call Christopher McDonald.
There was a lot about the story that didn't make sense to me, but their performances are very moving, and I think their friendship, it just me, I think when I was getting emotional because I just kept thinking like we all make decisions that alter the trajectory of our lives, and the reality is like some of the all of the actions we take have an effect, and sometimes they're irreparable. Like once you crack an egg, bitch. Like I mean, so I think like Susan's character kills a man who was attempting to rape Gina Davis's character, and she was triggered because we presume that she had been sexually assaulted,
and no one had
helped her. So she acted in a way that was excessive, and probably would have been in trouble for it. But she decides to run. But the final scene when they both decide like let's just kill ourselves because
just keep going. Yeah.
I don't know, that really spoke to me, not because I'm suicidal. I mean, I do long for death, but but it was more like just that realization that like the jig is up.
Well, and it's also
it was to me it felt like I often feel that way. No one needs to call 911. I'm not going to kill myself today, but I often think like death seems very relaxing and peaceful compared to how difficult life is.
The struggle of life, yeah.
And I think like I'm not going to go down this road except to say that I when they both look at each other and say like let's just keep driving, and we know we can see in their faces that they know what that means to each other. It just felt like a sweet relief. That really spoke to me.
Also, what speaks to me in that moment too is it's a big fuck you to the system.
And then
that doesn't want to help me or support me.
Yeah. So it's and watching it, I do have to say that little setup was kind of raggedy at the Rooftop Cinema Club at the Row, because the email you received said there would be alcohol and food available from 2 nice restaurants at the Row. And we get there and they're like, oh yeah, there's no food.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no alcohol. And then, the food, you'd have to order it and then you can bring it up. Like, okay. So, and then those tickets were expensive.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I would go again.
It was enjoyable though.
However, if someone from Rooftop Cinema Club wants to invite us to go for free, I would certainly do that. Anyway, moving on to projects of interest. The Wager.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio. Killers of the Flower Moon. We're already being told it's pushed back to 2023 most likely, but Scorsese is reuniting on a period piece already with DiCaprio called The Wager.
And Jane.
Alfonso Cuarón has announced a new project starring Charlize Theron called Jane, which is about Philip K. Dick's twin sister who died in infancy, and she plays the sister. So, interesting.
Okay, unfortunately, there are many entries in the obituary section.
Oh my God, yeah.
Starting with Paul Sorvino.
Paul Sorvino.
I'm assuming that's Mira's dad?
Yeah.
Okay, what is he? What do I know him from?
Well, Goodfellas.
I've never seen them.
You've never seen Goodfellas? Oh,
I haven't seen Godfather. I haven't seen...
Oh, Goodfellas. Oh, I'm putting Ray Liotta's dead. The original The Gambler, The Cooler. I remember him being good in. He was in so many films, and he is one of those character actors that when you see him, you know that there's some quality going on. But yeah, and then of course he gave us his daughter Mira, who you haven't seen Mighty Aphrodite, and she's excellent in that.
Next, Ronnie Cox.
Ronnie Cox, another character actor that's been around forever, has just died. You probably remember him as a villain in RoboCop from '87, the Verhoeven, but he's in a ton of stuff too.
Okay, Mary Alice.
Mary Alice, she was the replacement. She was the second woman to play the Oracle in the Matrix films, and she was in Denzel Washington's Fences, a bunch of other stuff. If you looked at her, you'd recognize her, but she passed away.
Bernard Cribbins.
Bernard Cribbins, a British character actor. He was in Hitchcock's Frenzy. He also was a songwriter. He wrote a song called Right Said Fred, which is where that duo got the name that sang
I'm Too Sexy.
But yeah, I think he was in his 90s, but he's dead as well.
David Warner.
And then David Warner, who another character actor who played a lot of villains. I remember him in The Omen, the original, and Straw Dogs, I believe. But yeah.
There's one more entry. It's Bill Russell. He played for the Celtics.
Okay.
He's notable. I know who this person is. He's obviously not a film or TV actor, but...
How old is he?
He was in his 80s.
Okay.
But he passed away. Okay, we need to pause for 1 second. Okay, we're back. So the secret movie today, what made you choose it?
I've liked this movie. I haven't seen it since like 2005. And it's getting a restoration finally. And it's kind of a cult status film. And we have reviewed a film by this filmmaker before for its Blu-ray release, and it's got.
What was that film?
Get Out Your Handkerchiefs.
I don't recall.
Oh well, we have a video out there, and you liked it.
Oh, but the name of the movie we watched today is called Going Places. It's a 1974 French comedy drama film, co-written and directed by Bertrand Blier.
It's Bertrand Blier.
Bertrand Blier.
The original.
Oh, go ahead.
It's based on his novel, but the original French title translates to The Waltzers, which is a vulgar French slang for testicles.
So, the basic story is there are two guys who they're just like reprobates. They're in France somewhere, and they're just roaming around, robbing people, raping people.
Jean-Claude and Pierrot, yeah.
They meet a lady who's like a prostitute / shampoo girl.
Marie-Ange, played by Miu Miu.
Who kind of goes on this journey with them, but there is no story. It's just them going from place to place, stealing shit and having sex. The only sort of arc for any character is that the lady played by Miu Miu, when they first meet her, they sexually assault her essentially, but she's very nonchalant about it because she's used to being taken advantage of sexually. And the plot point for her, or her character trait, I guess, is that she can't achieve an orgasm, or never has. When we can get into it deeper, but another character comes along, another man, and sort of joins their little trio, and he has sex with her, and during that process, she has an orgasm. So that's kind of the only thing that really happens. But the film ends with them just driving off like they have every other time they stop and steal someone's car. And
notably about that, for the U.S. version, he had to censor it because he originally had them die in a car crash.
They need to die.
I
will just say I didn't take any notes. I was not in the mood for this film. I think it's just it's just a depiction of vile people being vulgar and like unnecessarily sexual and having no morals, which is not. It's not that I can't tolerate that or don't think it should be shown on film. I just think maybe the older I'm getting, I don't know. Just like,
I think they're okay.
Being drawn to depravity for depravity's sake is just like, I don't know. There's just like a cynical component to it that bothers me, and I know that you'll probably say that you had a professor who told you that you're attracted to trash or something, or
Well, that did happen to me.
and I would agree, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that,
I think that you're being really dismissive, but
no,
because there are things in here that there's a journey that these characters go through, and I think it's saying something about societal degradation and the messages we received about how we're supposed to act, or how this film couldn't be made. It was remade in 2019 by John Turturro, but it not in the same way, obviously, but what we allowed men to get away with.
I don't think it's not saying anything. This would be an example of, specifically for me, like being confronted with something that isn't the right time or the right place, or like, on a Sunday morning, like this was not the movie to watch on a Sunday morning. So already I was just like, I don't want to watch these people being so like vulgar and amoral and depraved, and then sending a message that's very clear to me, which is that these men feel like they can do whatever they want, that the rules don't apply to them, they're despicable towards women, that the title of the movie, the original title that refers to testicles, that is a plot point for one of the characters, because he gets shot while doing some hood rat shit, and he gets shot in one of his testicles, and then he feels like he's having sexual performance issues, and then in the end seems to enjoy sex again, but also sex that he's sort of taking in a way that he shouldn't be. But anyway,
yes, but on the journey they're learning to be more considerate humans in a way.
But I feel I could talk about this at length, because I don't think that the film is not doing anything. I just think that it was the wrong time to watch this movie. It didn't really make sense for me to have to watch this morning. So I had an attitude about it, but there was a lot about it that I could talk about. Namely, the idea that, what I was thinking is this idea of, what do you call it when Christians do bad shit and then they repent? Okay, so I felt like this sort of made me think of the idea of repentance, because you just said that they sort of learn to become, how did you say they learn to become?
They learn to become more considerate.
So I think that's very interesting, because in life, I think people feel like everyone's so self-centered and hypocritical and selfish to some degree, some more than others, but everyone has a component of them that is that. And I think we think that if we make adjustments, like tiny adjustments, that somehow we've redeemed ourselves. Like that's some version of repentance. So the fact that these two guys, towards the end, you're saying they become more considerate, but not in other people's property. They become more...
they're not redeemed.
No. But what I'm saying is that the way they become more considerate is that they are more concerned about pleasuring the woman sexually. But it only comes because it's like a challenge. They're upset that some other guy made her reach orgasm, so they want to do it. And in the process, they're a little more tender with her. So I can see how people, like these characters, would think like, we're better people because we did this one thing. But in reality, you're still vile people.
Yes.
So I find that very interesting.
But again, because society has allowed them to be. I find it funny you use the word cynical, because Roger Ebert in his review called that it's a film of truly cynical decadence, and also the most misogynistic movie I can remember.
I don't know when he wrote that review, but
1974.
I mean, he should have waited till the 90s when we get all these fucking R-rated comedies where they're being super misogynistic.
Right, but it also plays a bit like a mix between a John Waters film without humor in the sexual depravity mixed with something like The Honeymoon Killers, of these duo and then trio cutting a swath of what violence through the French countryside.
I think I was also triggered by feeling like I feel like very attuned to feeling like a lot of things happen to me and I don't have a lot of control over them. Like I feel like I have very little control over my life. Everything's happening to me and I have to deal with it. And then watching these characters act like rules don't apply to them. They can do what they want to do and other people have to be okay with it. I feel like that's how my life is. Like everything's being done to me and I just have to be okay with it, and I don't really have a voice. So it just was not the movie I wanted to watch today or any day, but it doesn't mean that the subject matter doesn't have value or doesn't have a message. I just think that to watch someone watch it and like snicker and laugh and be excited is like, it's not me. Like, it's not a fun watch. It's not entertaining. It's troubling.
It is troubling.
And it's real. Like, people do act like this. I'm not naive. I'm not trying to act like everything's rosy.
No, I say John Waters without the comedy because there really aren't a lot of... There are some characteristics and things that happen, but to me, my favorite part, though, is Jean Moreau as the woman they pick up, the older woman they pick up out of prison, who's just gotten out of prison because they decide that they...
Oh, God, that was triggering because they pick up this older woman, like they've done before with women, and they want to have sex with her. And she's into it.
Not at first.
Not at first, but she warms up to them very quickly. And you could talk a lot about that. Like, this woman who's been in prison, she's older than them. She's been incarcerated for 10 years. She gets out. She clearly wants to feel the touch of another person in a different environment. She has sex with both of them. And then this lady gets up out of the bed, walks to another bedroom.
They're in a hotel.
In the hotel room. And she shoots herself in the vagina and kills herself.
But I think that's because at the restaurant they were at, she stops the waitress and tells her, she has that monologue about how she stopped getting her period in prison. She stopped menstruating. And
you keep talking, there's some shit going on outside.
And basically telling this woman, like, you know, it's going to be gradual, but even though they're annoying and you get cramps and you're irritable, just appreciate that and don't forget to enjoy that part of life. So what I think is so striking, because that's the scene I remember most, is her death scene from watching it when I was in college, is she's giving herself menstruation, is what she's doing in that act, which is very depressing and troubling, but because her life has been taken away from her, like she aged out of that period of her life in prison, and then they seem guilty about this, and they take her suitcase, which is filled with letters to a child she had, and then he's about to be released, and from prison, and he's the one that gives Marie-Ange her orgasm, because it's like they try to take him under their wing. And we're told that the only reason that she can have the orgasm is because she has the control in that sexual interaction with him, which is, maybe by today's standards obvious, but also interesting about human nature and sexuality and how we raise men to think that they need to believe to be sexual with women. But John Turturro, as I said, he remade this film as the Jesus Role, starring himself in 2019, but kind of modified it based on a character he created from The Big Lebowski, so it has all these other weird connections. But Susan Sarandon is ostensibly that Jean Moreau character, and of course the remake is a lot less daring.
Well, I also found that scene with the older woman killing herself a little... I need to stop using the word triggering, because I feel like I'm reducing the value of it. But, yeah... I don't know what I thought that represented, except that maybe I don't know.
She's throwing up in scenes too, and I don't know if she has. I don't know if I missed a detail about her having an illness.
I thought it was related to the sex she just had, because the two men are vile. They smell. They're dirty. I didn't take any of the sex that was being had as like particularly enjoyable to those involved, or it being forced upon them. So
she seemed okay, but she did rub like cologne on him.
Right. So I don't know. To me, it felt like just being... Immediately when I saw her, that she had shot herself to death by shooting her own vagina, it made me think that she just... Like, she had had enough. Like, she had had enough, obviously, but like with sex.
No, I think that she was trying to reclaim the youth by reactivating a menstrual cycle, because that, as I was saying, that's what she tells that waitress.
She tells the waitress, "Yeah, be grateful that you can still have a period." But you think she killed herself to have a period?
I think she wanted to die based on.
But I'm saying, why does she want to die?
We don't know.
But that's what I was trying to say. Is I think that maybe she clearly had enough. That's why she wanted to die. But I think it was related to just.
But I think she was going to do that no matter what.
Sure, but the way in which she did it represents. I think the manner in which she killed herself does relate to the fact that she is probably in menopause. But I I think that this sort of like last, because she's also overeating. Like the two scenes we see her eating, she's like being very excessive. So I think, yeah, like she knew she was going to do something like this.
It's her last meal.
But, you know, the sex part of it is just like, yeah, I don't know. I could go on and on about that topic, but.
And then, of course, Isabelle Huppert is in the final scene of the film as a 16-year-old who ditches her parents to go with them in the car they steal, and they take her virginity.
Yeah.
She was actually 21 at the time. But.
It was all a little too much for me, but it's not that it's like frivolous. It's just not an easy watch, and it's not.
This is the film that made, because the hooligans are played by Gerard Depardieu and Patrick Dewar. Patrick Dewar killed himself in the early 80s, but he was in several of Bertrand Blier's films. And this is the film that made Depardieu a star.
God. Yeah, he's gross. They're both just so gross. Like the characters and...
Yeah, the way they go about the...
I don't think Gerard Depardieu was good looking, but that man fell off so hard.
He did.
He must have had a drinking problem or something.
Yes, I think so. And I think his son had health issues and died too. Who was an actor. There's a scene where it's implied that he raped him. That he rapes Patrick... That Jean-Claude rapes Pierrot.
Yeah.
Which is...
Again, these things happen. People are like this, but it just... I think my issue is the excitement people have of like, I want you to watch this. Like, I want you to watch this, and I want you to react to it. To me is... That's the part of it that I would probably agree that it feels like cynical decadence. Like, these are real stories, and they're hard to watch, and the fact that people think this is like entertainment is odd to me. In the same way that we find like ultra gory horror entertaining, but I also don't think that that's. I mean, we talk at length about that, how it's kind of not very healthy that we crave. Not me particularly. Like I can very easily watch like torture porn, and it, you know, I'm not like squirmy or whatever, but you know, then I have to ask myself why. Why does that appeal to me? Why does it not bother me? You know, just interesting things. How can I watch a movie about two guys who are out here stealing and sexually assaulting women, each other, and then not be bothered by it?
Well, right.
And then if I am bothered by it, why would I elect to then subject myself to that?
You know, and I haven't seen it for 17 years, but I did feel more uncomfortable watching it now than I remember feeling about its just, you know, growing as a human being. It's the ways that you become attuned to the world and people in it. It is an uncomfortable film, and I don't remember feeling that when I saw it in college.
Yeah, if for nothing else, it's a reminder to maybe, you know, I think everyone could sort of take a little inventory of who they are and their desires and how that's working out for them. Like the choices we make and the things that we think we deserve, and, you know, what excites us and our desires. And, you know, because we were talking about, who are we talking about this with that, related to that They Them movie. And this idea, particularly with younger people, of like, and especially within the LGBTQ plus community, of there being so much inclusion and acceptance of like, you know, I hate, and so many people say this and I hate it, that they don't want to yuck other people's yum. And I think that's bullshit, child. Some of the shit y'all are doing is yucky. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then because we find ourselves in little bubbles and communities that support our bullshit, you think it's okay. So I'm not trying to say that like saying you're, you know, questioning gender norms is a problem. What I'm saying is that I think sometimes we need to maybe take a step back and think about, why are the things that we find appealing
Well, or what the risks are of some behaviors.
Why do we why do some people who
or...
engage in high risk behaviors, like, you make excuses for them and then you involve yourself with other, if everyone else you're hanging out with also likes to go suck dick in the park, then no one's going to judge you. But if you got outside that bubble, people would be appalled for a variety of reasons. And it's not homophobic. It's like health concerns. Mm-hmm. It's like, like I was saying the other day, there are people who we know like that who will go cruise the park for dick and then also talk about how, like, dating in LA sucks. Girl, you can't have both. You can't. If you want to go suck dick in the park, that's fine.
Well, it's, like reading...
That's a quote.
Reading Camille Paglia's essays from the early 90s, and the AIDS crisis was still raging, and talking, she's trying to say, like, we have to be realistic about the damage that can be done to your body,
right.
Anal intercourse.
That, and then also your mind, like, when you find such extreme behaviors and scenarios alluring, including watching ultra-violent things, playing ultra-violent video games, how does that alter our brain chemistry and how we relate to other people? Mm-hmm. Because I have a lot of experience relating to people in a more intimate way, and a lot of people feel very disconnected, and they feel like they just want something and they don't care. So actually, probably the most triggering thing about this movie, Going Places, is the Miu Miu prostitute lady,
hairdresser,
shampoo girl. When she's having sex, they keep complaining that she just lays there and she doesn't say anything. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's like, because she's not enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay, but she's not, like, she's sending you a message. Mm-hmm. And I have a lot of experience with that. Like, it's like people don't care that, like, this is, like, you're telling me you want these things and you're doing these things to me, and it's like, you don't care that I do or don't want it. That's how people act. Like, mm-hmm. People are so comfortable telling me what they want and what they want to do with my body and touching me and things like that. And it's like, do you not care if I want to do that? And I feel like many people can relate to that. Mm-hmm. You, as in anyone desiring me, part of that has to be reciprocated. And that needs to happen for anyone you're inclined to be physical or sexual with or romantic with. And I think this movie depicts that in a way that's horrifying to me. It's like a nightmare that it's just like people don't...
You're not supposed to watch that and be comfortable or think that girl is fine.
I know, but I think some of the language people use is like, you need to take a step back because you sound like a fucking predator. Mm-hmm. You sound crazy. Like...
It's funny because how much of our predatorial behavior in the gay community is really excused quite easily.
There are people who, like, I'm assuming anyone who listens to us is familiar with these tactics and platforms, but it's like people get on apps looking for casual sex and they engage in it on a very regular basis. And then in the same breath, they'll say, like, people are being weird with me, they're clingy, they're lying to me. And it's like, the nature in which you obtain these things is a breeding ground for deception and abuse.
Well, I think that's what's fascinating about the girl from Plainsville case. The text message suicide scenario is the level of desensitization for another human being that it takes on both of their parts.
I want people to be careful. I want people to think twice about the things they want and desire and the reactions they get from other people. Everyone's so quick to complain about what someone did to them. And it's like, do you ever think why they did that to you? Do you ever think why that person ghosted you? Right? Mm-hmm. How many people do you talk to and they're like, it's so embarrassing. Like, you keep telling me, like, you go on all these first dates and no one calls you back, and then it's like men in LA are trash. No, you're trash. Like, I mean, it's very basic math. Mm-hmm. It's like second grade math. Like, the common denominator is you, girl. If every scenario is the same, if you keep getting to these precarious situations where you feel like your safety is in question, then maybe you need to reevaluate the situations you're putting yourself into, mm-hmm. right? Yeah. You can't always be the victim. And I don't know, I went way off topic, but this film was just so it's proof that it does have a message, and I think it's effective in that regard. I think if someone does want to watch it, they'd have to be in a good headspace to do so, because it's just very bothersome. But I guess the purpose of art is to also invoke a reaction. So, it did that, but
Well, yeah, there's a reason that it's a film that has a certain cult status, and the thing, it's troubling, but it's also, in a way, that freedom in the 70s of being able to kind of look at the world and how troubling it really is, and that we aren't allowed to do now in the same way.
sure. Yeah, sure.
Because I've seen the Turturro film, and he's trying to do something else, which is respectable, but we don't have these. I feel like there aren't a lot of things that we have this reaction to, because we're not really talking about how kind of awful the world is.
I actually think this would be a good movie to remake it in modern time, because I think kind of like that movie with Issa Rae and BJ Novak.
Vengeance.
The opening scene is BJ Novak and John Mayer talking about women and dating.
Yeah.
And they're fucking vile. I feel like Going Places could be remade, but yeah, it couldn't be remade the same way because people don't interact that way anymore.
Right.
Men aren't just out on the street grabbing women's asses and
Titties and
right,
like, oh my God.
That wouldn't be tolerated. Like, a mob of people would surround you and like protect the person being assaulted, hopefully. But I think you could do it in other ways, like the way people. I've had so many conversations with people like talking about dating, and it's like, you have a really unhealthy view and approach of this thing that ultimately is supposed to result in sort of a meaningful connection with another person. And your actions are unhealthy and borderline abusive, super toxic. I think this movie could be remade, but, a big component of that would be online.
Yeah.
A big component of that would be, because we do get a little bit of it in this movie where they're sort of lying about who they are. But it doesn't matter, because as the audience, we can see these two ain't shit. They're just like grifters. But in reality, there are a lot of people out in these streets who work at Target, Best Buy, the dentist office. These are people with jobs and lives and homes. Because as far as we know, the two guys in Going Places, they don't even have a home to live in.
No, when Jean Moreau asked them, like, what do you do for work? They're like,
So
they're not even smart enough to be.
So I think what's more scary is in 2022, especially if you live in a big city, there are people who, get by, and they're out here playing games.
Yeah.
And like, how many podcasts are there where people are talking about like some person who dates them and cons them out of this? And that's essentially the modern version of what we saw in this movie. Is people are using online platforms and scamming people out of money, and like, yeah, it's just,
well, and then the brazenness of their actions couldn't last, like them just taking all these cars.
But yeah, you're right. They steal like what, 7-8 cars throughout the course of the film. People aren't doing that nowadays, but that's because you can't steal a car the way they stole them. You can't just hotwire something anymore. But then there are other ways in which people, right? So it's very interesting. I think that's all I have to say about it. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, it was the first of 3 films that Huppert has since been in with Depardieu, including 1980's Lulu by Maurice Pialat, which I highly recommend, which they're both the leads in, and then in 2015's Valley of Love, which I also really liked.
And what are we doing this week?
Tomorrow is, I was going to say Bird Box, Bullet Train, different Sandra Bullock film.
Sandra Bullock is in Bullet Train?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because Brad Pitt's in that Lost City movie that she did as well. And then that Joe, is it Joey Coy? Joe Coy? What's his name? Easter Sunday? That comedian.
I have no interest in watching that.
That's this week. And a really interesting sounding Diane Keaton movie called Mac and Rita, which has a phenomenal supporting cast, including Loretta Devine and Taylor Page. Yeah, that's about it.
Do you have a quote, or you want to tell us about a book?
Oh, I'm reading My Policeman written by Beth Ann Roberts. The film's set to premiere in Toronto in September, starring Harry Styles, about a policeman who's married to a woman but is in really love with a man. And as I'm reading it, I didn't realize that it is based on the real-life relationship of E.M. Forster that he had with a policeman and his wife, which is fascinating to me.
No quote.
From Mr. Bertrand Blier himself, loneliness forced me to be my own best friend.
Yeah. All right, bye.